Now, we were short this in the trading room. Okay, traders, we have a lot to go over here, a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the good stuff. We're going to go through the earnings plays. We're going to go through who came out with earnings that are significant, who had good earnings, and who just absolutely blew up, and then what to do about it tomorrow. We're going to start with PayPal. The light gray is the after hours and pre-market. So what you can see is you can kind of see how we just went up about 10 points, and now we're already just sitting up here. You know, you really want to make sure that you're not buying or chasing unless you break over this 15-minute level is what we talk about. Please subscribe to this channel and click all notifications because what we're going to go over here is extremely timely. And I also put out private content. So you have to look at these numbers, 93 cents versus 86 cents. Sales were 6.8 versus 6.78. So they beat. Total payments were up 9%. That's a far cry from the disaster we were supposed to hear about. And they're talking about up to $15 billion buyback. Now, at the time of recording this, you're having your conference call. And I just want to point something out. Elliott Management took a 9% position in this company, very similar to what happened with PIN. And when that came out and the news started coming out, this actually started getting a little bump to it. Now, whether or not that happens, I'm not sure. I'm not the only one that knows this, so it might have already got this bump. But this one should be on your focus list. If you're looking for stocks that came out tonight that actually did okay, and there are only a few of them, this is one of them. And this is highly impressive. So we're going to have to see how this does. And what I would say is you want to see where the gap is. Does it form a doji? Does it not? You know, some of these names that are forming those dojis, they're holding. They're not really breaking. So as long as they're holding like that, like Amazon, they're okay. It's when they start breaking those dojis that you just really need to get out of the way. Like Apple, if that starts breaking, I'm just pointing these out very clearly so you can understand, if you don't see this for 2 days in this, I do these every day. If you don't see it, that's what you're looking for. You break the doji to the next day to the downside, the time of recording this, it's Tuesday. So if Thursday, if it broke that downward level, you just want to get out of the way. But other than that, I really like this. I really like this quarter. And it's definitely one of those names that's going in the long-term bank. Just as well as pins went in that bank. Now, if you take a look at AMD, okay, this was not a great quarter, and people are like, well, they did okay. You have to understand something. AMD said that they were going to beat substantially, and they raised their revenue and earnings projected to come out and say we're going to beat by 60% year over year. We're going to grow by 60% year over year is how I should say it. And a lot of the analysts on the last call were saying, well, we're going to keep it at 30%. Are you sure? Yeah, we're sure. Okay, well, they came out and hardly met expectations. And when you dig into it, a lot of this, of their earnings, actually deals with the Xilinx merger. So this was not really what you want to see is some kind of accounting gimmicks going on here. And revenues that were just really light. Doesn't really matter to even get into the numbers. What matters is what the stock is doing, right? They could have great numbers and it still goes down. But you're in that 15-minute range. I would do absolutely nothing here. If this does not move on the conference call, this is going to weigh on the entire NASDAQ tomorrow. It's definitely going to weigh on semiconductors. How could you play this? See how it gaps down and go from there. But SOXX, that definitely is going to wind up rallying tomorrow, at least off the open. If you want to play the other side, you could play SOXL. I would be really apprehensive saying to somebody that you need to be buying a company that essentially, in my estimation, missed their projected guidance. That's how I view this tonight. And it's not something that I would be doing. And it also doesn't really bode well for NVIDIA. And you can see that after hours where NVIDIA closed at 185, we're at 181. Now, today we gapped down and then exploded up. Could we see something like that? Could we see those gap down, explode up trades? Very possible. It's very possible. But the action that I'm seeing right now is not conducive to that. And you're just not seeing any bounce at all. So that means that these people were flim-flammed. And you have some real disasters out there. Let's get into a couple. Because these are people being like, oh, it's too late to short. Is it? Okay, SEDG missed by a mile on the revenue side. So this needs to hold 313 or this is going to get super ugly. And a lot of people are going to come in tomorrow and they're going to have a really bad day because they were buying this at 300, 299. And now it's at 286 because they just thought that these companies were going to do exceptional. And it makes sense that you think that because ENPH crushed. SEDG, not so much. And this is what we're dealing with right now. Please comment on which stock you want covered more that I'm not covering currently. Some people are asking for certain stocks. I'm fine covering them if I know what you want to see. So I think the earnings calls are good right now because of what's going on. This was just an absolute dumpster fire. So they didn't even come close to making their revenue projections. Stock literally, you look at how you're going to trade it, and essentially this is what happened. It just gapped down. Couldn't even find a buyer for $3. So, and then you just gapped all the way down, and now you're sitting at $60. Is it overdone? I don't know. They missed by an absolute mile. So this could get really nasty tomorrow. It's certainly going to weigh on this. It's also going to weigh on Bumble. Okay, Bumble has been running up on this, and now you can kind of see where Bumble's probably going to wind up coming in on that news. You can already see it's down about $2.50. So what you want to see tomorrow is you want to see if these names bounce. And I'm not so sure. And I do want to cover good news, which is somewhat surprising to me. But Sophie raised expectation. Now, I don't think anybody had that in their bingo card. So this could actually have a really good day tomorrow. And that kind of shocks me to be talking about it in that kind of light because I'm not a huge fan of the company, but you really can't overlook that. So if I break this downward trend line right here, right? And that's what it always just comes down the price. Everything else is conversation. And you get to that level. See how you rejected right there? You know the level, 715. Just watch that level tomorrow. This was a really good quarter. I mean, there's very little to say about it. It was really good. You're respecting the 21-day. You're hanging in there. The RSI is pulling up. Out of the 2 quarters tonight, it's PayPal and Sophie that actually, saved the day. Now, for those watching these later, I just want to point something out. If you see AMD down later from where it is, time of recording, that means the conference call did not go well. Just FYI. If you see it lower than this 94.25 this evening, it means the conference call didn't go well. PayPal's, it's going to be kind of hard to say that the conference call didn't go well after the stock's up $10. I mean, this was just a monster move, and this did exactly what we thought it was going to do. We were talking about this in the trading room today. You just can't, let me rephrase that. I don't play earnings like this. I don't guess. I trade what's in front of me. I don't guess on what's going to happen. What I want to do is I want to analyze. I don't want to make just, it's going to go up because of this. I mean, that's silly. You're never going to be right 100% of the time, and you're always going to get crushed. It's just years of trading. I've learned to do that. Please share this on social media. The more people that see this, the more people I actually help. I really am trying to educate people and show them what it does to be truly successful at trading. A lot of people out there are just not being, very forthright with the information out there. So I appreciate anybody actually sharing this because there's actually a lot of nuggets in here. So let's go through what's going to happen tomorrow, okay? So I would watch this very, very closely. This is SQQ. I'd watch this very closely tomorrow. This is getting very oversold. I have a really hard time believing that the VIX is not going to spike on this. Now, maybe if we have a 2% down gap, there might be a play there. But to me, it just seems like the VIX is going to wind up going a lot higher after this evening. So we're going to want to watch that. I did throw a lot of ideas out there, for you to look at. I know that, but I really want to focus on these indexes and what's going on. So you're still above, if we come and take a look at this, you are still above everything here. You're still above this anchored VWAP from the March high. So that is impressive that you're holding that. Now, I don't know where we're going to be at tomorrow morning, but for right now, you're holding that. And you are peaking on the RSI, just like you did last time in March. So let's just watch that. And also, there's just a couple key things. Just watch the fact that you're having a really hard time with this level. Like you're not able to get and make a higher high. You're just getting these wonky bars. And remember last time we got wonky bars like this was back here. The only difference is this is pointing straight up, which is giving us some buoyancy. And this is going and acting as a support. Now, if you look at the Qs, why I'm saying SQQ, you want to watch it. Now, you're still above here, okay? So even with this coming down, right, which it hardly moved, which is kind of shocking. But if you see that you're just holding that level, that's impressive. But you're having trouble with that higher high. And this is much longer. But if we got rid of all these indicators and we just point out this very simple level right there, this is what happened to us before. And I understand this is longer, but this happened to us at that 330 level where we kept thinking we were going to get through, and then we just never got through. These dojis and the way that they keep representing themselves really start giving me cause for concern that if you get rid of the pre and the post and you look, you're really unable to close over that. And that's a glaring sign to me Also, you're not seeing follow through in names that have come out with earnings. So if you take a look at something like Tesla, just to get an example of it, here's Tesla. Here's that 200 day. Now, we were short this in the trading room last night, and we did okay with it off the open, just gapping down and then ran up. And then everyone got giddy and thought it was going to go. And it did give you some signs like that was going to happen. I mean, we drew this out perfectly. It's exactly what happened. You broke that downward trend line. You broke out. And yes, you could have made about 20 points on it if you captured the whole move. But where's my follow through? Where's taking out these dojis? Where's my higher highs? And you're not seeing that. And I think one of the reasons, one of the key reasons is what I'm about to explain. This RSI is really overbought on the 4 hour. And the last time you were this high was here in April, and that was a peak. And then over here, okay, it happened in October. So they're the only times it happened. Now, I will say this, in October, you can stay up here for a lot longer, and that's when it gets really interesting. I'm not so sure that we're going to see an October move as much as we're going to see a March move. So that's why I'm just saying you might want to put on the brakes. The only things that are really moving are like these HKD moves, right, which are just like ridiculous, right? So you're seeing that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much it. That's all I have for this evening. I know this was more an amalgamation of what went on today, but there's a lot of data for you to process. A lot. I mean, and there's names that we didn't even really go over that are out there. So I tried to just give you a highlight of what I think is going to be the most effective trades for tomorrow. So that's it. If you're interested in the trading room, click the right link in the top right, and you can get a preview of the room. Everybody have a great evening and trade to win.